Madison with you here, and welcome. We are here on XM Channel 169, The Power, and also WLL 1450, who knows where else, and we are here with my good friend, former Congressman Walter Fauntroy, pastor of New Bethel Baptist Church, the Reverend Walter Fauntroy, and Dr. Marsha Coleman-Adebayo. And thank you so much for being here. And let me tell you, let's start with explaining the No Fear Act 2. And I guess people may be wondering, what is No Fear Act 1? Right. And then tie it into what's been happening with our food, the tomato scare, and how does that tie in with whistleblowers? Mm-hmm. So who wants to start? Marsha, Reverend Fauntroy, you guys choose.
Yeah, I'd just like to introduce the person who can address that question as the Vivian Malone of this era, in that she has been our access to information as a PhD in environmental science, to the impact of environmental policy on healthcare in particular, but generally on broken government and our need to make our government live up to its responsibilities.
Well, thank you very much. Great to be here, Joe. Thanks. No Fear 1 really came out of a commitment by federal government workers who were brave enough, quite frankly, to step forward
and do what?
And to say that the system is broken, that the federal government sits on a chassis of fear and intimidation. And
these are people who work for the federal government.
These are government insiders who were brave enough to say that the federal government sits on a chassis of intimidation, harassment, retaliation, and that unless we fundamentally fix the structure of government, that it cannot be useful to not only the people inside the federal government, but more importantly to our communities. And so No Fear 1 came out of that kind of commitment to say we've got to do something.
Now give briefly, as capsulized as you can, what happened with you, because really No Fear 1 came out of your experience at what agency?
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
The EPA?
Yes.
What was that experience?
Well, that experience was that I was a victim of racism and sexism and intimidation and harassment.
And how did it manifest itself?
Well, in terms of the racism, Title VII issues, we thank Reverend Fauntroy and yourself for fighting for my generation so that we even had an opportunity to work in some of these agencies. But in my case, name-calling. I mean, I'd walk into a senior staff meeting and I would be told that the reason why I was there was because people felt comfortable with me because I was, quote-unquote, an honorary white man. During performance evaluations, I was told that, it's okay for black people to work here, but it's better for you to be seen and not heard. And so people consider you an uppity, and you can sort of fill in the last word of that. But I think when things really came to a head for me was when I was asked to be the EPA liaison to the White House on the Gore and Becky Commission. And when I went to South Africa to do my work, I found out about a community in South Africa about 50 miles outside of Pretoria that was mining something called vanadium pentoxide. Vanadium is in everything we use in this country. It is the infrastructure of Western civilization as we know it.
What is it? What is it?
It's called vanadium pentoxide. It's a substance that's mixed in with steel so that steel can expand and contract.
Okay. All right.
So that's the reason why our cars can go from summer to winter. Airplanes can go from the ground to the upper atmosphere. Henry Ford said without it, industrial revolution would be impossible.
All right.
So this small community mines 80% of what keeps this country going. As a result of that, these Africans are exposed to this deadly substance that turns their tongues green and black and blue. They within 4 to 6 months they start, or maybe a year, they start bleeding from every orifice of their bodies, their eyes, their ears, their genitals. They become sexually impotent within, I'd say, 4 months of mining this stuff. They die from cancer of the stomach, esophagus, lungs, kidney, liver failure. So when I found out about this, and I found out quite by accident, I went to my supervisor and said, are you aware of this situation? And what are we going to do since it's a U.S. multinational corporation that's mining most of this stuff? And I was told at that point to shut up. And then as I continued to investigate this, because quite frankly, it was my job to do this since I was representing the agency to the White House, as I started investigating this, I just kept getting doors slammed in my face the higher I got. And I remember one day walking into my office and the sealed device of a letter with the sealed the vice presidency was sitting on my desk. And it was a letter that people were asking what's happening with this substance. So that meant that it had gotten all the way to the White House. And I was told basically to lie and to fabricate information about this situation. And when I refused, I was taken off the assignment.
That's why I brought up the point that, Vivian Malone, broke ground to get higher education. Marsha comes out of Detroit and gets into an area that is important for the future of the world, in the environment. Environmental scientist, graduate of Columbia and then MIT, gets in government, which is a place for service, and because government has responsibility in these areas. And when she, in fact, blows the whistle on what is happening, not only to Africans who are producing this invaluable substance, but when she challenges it, she in effect gets fired, and she's like James Brown. Papa don't take any mess, and so she challenged, as have tens of thousands of whistleblowers.
You anticipated my next question, and so that led to forming this No Fear Coalition.
Exactly. Well, I took
because there were others who had been in the same position in different agencies.
That's right.
And throughout the entire
federal government.
Entire federal government.
Marshals, I know, like Matthew
Fogg and Janet Howard.
Janet Howard at Commerce.
Right.
These are people that we know, and all of them have gone through basically the same thing.
30,000 of us, and that we know of. And that's only the ones who get past a certain stage. We're not able to capture the people who actually are intimidated out of continuing to talk about the problems inside the federal government. It's important for people to realize that when whether you're in the United States or whether you're outside the United States, there are a group of people inside the United States government that are fighting
and they're
for
not
our
all,
communities.
and I should point out, they're not all in Washington, D.C.
They're throughout the 9 federal regions in this country.
All right. Let me bring this sort of up to date, and that is the article I have here about the outbreak in certain types of tomatoes that we heard about, and now they're saying, well, they don't know if it's tomatoes. It could be anything. People will say, well, wait a minute, Madison, how does this relate to No Fear and whistleblowers?
Well, I think it directly relates to it.
Directly?
Directly relates to it because this is fundamentally a food safety issue. If we think that the gasoline crisis is bad, you have a food safety issue in this country where people do not know whether they're feeding their children or their families safe food. And so we know that there are whistleblowers inside of the FDA. There are people inside the FDA who probably really do know what's going on, but are afraid to speak up.
All right, hold on. Reverend Fonshore, let me take a break. I hear the music. I want to come back with you because how many years in Congress did you serve?
28 years.
20. All right, let's round it up to 30, but 28 years to be exact. 28 years that you served in Congress. What does it mean in how government operates or doesn't operate if people like Marsha and folks at the FDA, as you pointed out, and this is why you say it's directly related to whistleblowers, because there are some bodies, not just one person, but probably many, who know what's going on, but can't say anything.
No, they say something, and as a result, we have to tell them, don't be fearful of telling the truth and blowing the whistle.
All right, and then this is where the No Fear Act 2 comes in.
Exactly.
All right, and then we'll find out why didn't one work or why we need
Two.
Two.
Exactly.
Okay, hold on. We'll continue. It's Madison. Reverend Fontroy is with us, and Marsha's here, and she heads up a great organization, Marsha Adebayo, the No Fear Coalition. And you have not met a group of people until you've been in the room with these people. I'm Madison, and you've got the power. And the phone number, by the way, 1-866-801-TALK. We'll take calls, so if you do have a question, feel free to grab a line right now. We're going to have one more segment with our guest here in studio. So what I'd like to do is if people, I mean, first of all, I guess getting the number, they can contact your coalition,
yes.
right? And you got email,
yes.
website,
yes.
and a phone number.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The phone number, I would prefer people contact us by email.
By email, yeah, because there's so many. All right.
Yeah.
And all right.
And by the way, nothing ever happened to this community. They are still dying in South Africa, and the real
really,
because I was taken off the project.
So where in South Africa?
They're about maybe 2 hours outside of Pretoria. That's the movie that Danny Glover is making about this whole issue.
Oh, okay, the one that you said, Danny.
No
yeah.
Fear. This is the movie.
I don't know if he's home. It's 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
I was gonna call him,
yeah.
but
he'd love to talk about it at some point. But this is the movie about how I uncovered this community. But they're still dying in South Africa. In fact, and now because
so this is worse than or as bad as the Blood Diamond.
Oh, this is horrible. The difference is that vanadium is considered a strategic metal by the CIA. I think literally they will take out anyone who interferes in this issue.
The West is built on it.
The West is built on vanadium. Everything in this room is vanadium pentoxide. And it's buried deep in the earth. And what happens is when you go see a vanadium mine, it's about 3 times the size of a football field. So it's not a cave mining like diamonds.
Or
all
gold.
that dust is going right up into the atmosphere, comes down as acid rain.
So is it like open?
It's an open
pit mining.
If you can imagine.
Oh, okay, it's open pit mining.
All that dust, and so the miners all live in the same area. So when you go to the schools, and the schools are almost located right on the vanadium.
So what does Mbeki say about this? I mean, now that you have a black government.
They say, all multinationals, please come to South Africa. We have better environmental standards in the United States. We've got cheap labor. Because 80% of South Africa's economy is built on exports, exporting particularly minerals.
So you weren't, I mean, were you talking about shutting down these mines? Were you talking about putting safety standards in place?
Okay.
Because you weren't going to shut down, you can't shut down. I mean, you'd shut down the Western world.
But the community does not want you, the community itself would not want you to shut it down,
right,
which
because
is our standard. Which is our standard. But they did want, for example, gloves. They wanted masks.
Wait a minute, gloves and masks?
Gloves. They wanted masks. They wanted a hat. They believed when their tongues turned green and black that if they could just have a little bit of milk in the morning, that would help counteract the vanadium poisoning. I mean, really simple things. They went on strike just to get milk. And they were fired. I mean, like 200 or 300 of these miners were fired because they just asked for milk in the morning. I mean, this is really. By the way,
what is Congress? Does Congress know about this?
Believe me.
Well, I assume they do. I mean, because the No Fear Coalition's been discussing.
Well, it's on our website, but no one has been interested in this issue. I've been sort of like yelling and screaming, and no one cares about it.
It is so vital to the West, as she indicated.
Right.
The CIA, but you don't mess with that. We can't build bridges, can't build buildings.
Right.
And you want to know what's really scary?
What?
It's now the Russian mafia and the CIA are involved in vanadium mining.
It is. And the role of...
I mean, I can't say that, but it's Yeltsin.
You just did.
I'm not on the air, though.
There you are.
Oh, am I? Oh, I am. Okay.
Well, you said.
It's true.
But Congress needs to I would think they would need to address this.
You know, one of my heroes in the Congress is Henry Waxman,
Right.
who chairs the Committee on Government Oversight and Reform. And out of California, where much of the environmental damage is being done, that ought to be corrected by EPA. You've come Barbara Boxer and others who are serious about getting government to fix broken government that does not protect citizens.
We're coming back. It's Madison, and we are in studio with Marsha Coleman-Adebayo and Reverend Walter Fauntroy. I want to make sure everybody understands this. When you brought this issue up, and this is your job,
Right.
now you were fired.
No, I'm, and that's one of the things I should do is is to say that I am not here speaking as a federal government worker. I'm here as a private citizen, and I'm here representing the No Fear Coalition. That's an important distinction because there may be a time when someone like me will represent the U.S. government, but it's certainly not right now, and it's not under this administration. But I was told to shut up when I brought this issue forward.
And you didn't? You formed No Fear Coalition?
I didn't shut up, and I won't shut up about this issue because I've been to South Africa, and I've been to the homes of these miners and their families, and I know that they're suffering, and I think it's important for people to understand.
So what, let's also bring this back domestically to our food, as you point out. What's the resistance? I mean, do not the people who tell you to be quiet and the people who tell these folks, to be quiet about the tomatoes at the FDA, aren't they eating tomatoes too? I mean, don't they live in the same country we live in?
Don't they breathe the same
air that we breathe? Eat the same food we eat?
I mean, that really is one of the curious things about how people can disassociate, I think, their reality. I mean, the same people who are polluting and polluting and with all the toxic, substances in the environment live in this environment.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to sit here and be a tree hugger, but I'm saying that if you're a scientist and you know this is happening, and look, 810 people confirmed ill.
Right.
Then to say it was tomatoes. I mean, if I were a tomato producer or a distributor right now, I'd be mad as hell.
But we don't even know that it's tomatoes yet.
Well, but remember, they started off, and all these tomatoes were put on the shelf, and restaurants weren't serving them. Now we're being told, no, we don't know if it's tomatoes. We don't know what it is.
And that's why.
But you're saying somebody does.
Of course, someone does.
Yeah.
And people inside FDA, within the EPA and these other agencies, are making a calculation because they see how someone like myself is treated or other people, and they're saying, I don't want to go down that road because I've seen what the agencies can do to people who speak out.
And you're 20 years, you're 15 years, you've got seniority, right,
exactly.
Reverend?
That's right. And let me just take it back.
And then I want to go take a couple of calls because we'll run out of time.
Yeah, let me just go back. The question is, does government exist for the people or for profit? And quite frankly, in 1969, Richard Nixon did something very dangerous.
And that was?
He offered corporate executives to his agency heads to arrange and organize them to work more efficiently. And they put a lot of people in government.
See, you made that point, and I've been repeating it over and over. It's a very interesting point. So they are in essence in what, middle and upper management?
They're down among the Blue Book people.
Blue Book?
Yeah. A president appoints 203,000 positions in the federal government.
All right.
And quite frankly, on the basis of my experience from doing the White House Conference on Civil Rights to 20 years in the Congress, I know that those persons are there to steer policy and funds to the corporate supporters of a president and to the political supporters. And what happens around the world is that the most serious problems reflect themselves most acutely in the black experience. So that when Marsha stood up, then other people saying, well, Title VII was designed to work out grievances. We're going to do what she's doing, and they are doing it. And now you find Marsha at the apex of a movement of tens of thousands of citizens, black and white together, who are saying enough is enough. And so when the tomatoes show up with salmonella, and you may want to share from the scientific community's understanding of what may be happening.
Well, please, quickly, and then I'll take a couple of calls.
Well, no, I think there are a couple. I mean, there's a breakdown in government, obviously. There's a breakdown in terms of food inspection. That's clear. There's a breakdown in terms of sanitary conditions in the fields, because salmonella is when fecal material, to a large extent, is integrated into the food supply, either by humans or by animals.
Okay.
And so something has broken down in the food chain, either from the production side or from the inspection side.
You're going to make a point, Reverend, and then I'm going to
is,
go to the phone call.
If you are defecating in the fields and the rain is falling,
It gets into the food.
it gets in the food.
And so, therefore, if you don't have proper sanitary conditions in the food, in the field, that's one possibility.
And then the checks and balances would be that you'd have an inspector.
Well, and then again, our food comes from different countries
Exactly.
that may not have the same standards that we are supposed to have here.
Which is the reason why you need the food inspectors.
And the budget was cut, former Congressman Fontre, for food inspectors at the FDA.
For everybody whose domestic responsibility is to protect the health, in this case.
All right, Lena in Trumbull, Connecticut. Go right ahead. First time caller, by the way. Go ahead. Hi.
Joe.
Not a lot of time, please.
Yeah, okay. Marsha, as a baby boomer, I'm wondering what has happened to my age group. They don't speak up. They don't say anything. The silence is deafening, and I'm very concerned because we could certainly take the power back from everything that you're discussing. Stop buying the things.
If nothing but sheer numbers.
Excuse me?
I said if nothing but with sheer numbers.
Yes, I'm stunned that people don't cut back. Go to your local markets and go and buy your produce there. Demand from your senators. You've got to speak up. People don't speak up because it's fear of retribution.
Exactly.
And so, therefore, No Fear Act addressed that. Thank you, Lena. Go ahead.
Right, exactly. No Fear 2 really puts teeth in No Fear 1, quite frankly. No Fear 1 was an important first step, but it was only a first step. Under No Fear 2, we actually do have criminal penalties embedded inside of No Fear 2, so that if managers are found liable for discrimination, and it is found that the person who they discriminated against became ill or died, which a lot of our members do die because of hypertension and strokes and whatever, then those managers actually can be referred to the Department of Justice for criminal penalties.
And I've met these people who have fought the good fight, and they do go through tremendous pressure.
And she's right. I mean, I'm a baby boomer, and it's a real issue. I mean, you've got to make a decision that you're going to fight as opposed to just get along. And
we have less than a minute, so if people want to get involved, you've got a website. Can you give that out?
They could go to www.w3conference.
Repeat that, please.
www.w3conference.
Is that the numeral 3?
The numeral 3 conference.org. They could go to www.nofearinstitute.org.
All right.
If they go to W3 Conference, they'll learn more about the Whistleblower Week in Washington. And, we thank you and Reverend Fontroy for hosting that conference in Congress a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot of activities that people can join and become involved in.
And Reverend Fontroy, as you know, this transcends race,
everything,
age. We only have 20 seconds, but thank you both for coming in. We're really out of time, but hopefully you'll get a lot of emails and hits on that website. And
thank
people
you so much.
Speak up.